Today, Lieutenant Governor Will Ainsworth released his recommendations on reopening Alabama's economy. Some of the guidelines for when businesses reopen include strictly monitoring the health of employees, limiting the number of people allowed inside businesses, increasing cleaning measures, enforcing social distancing, and limiting interaction between employees and customers. The current stay-at-home order is in effect until April 30th. Sometime on or before April 28th, Governor Ivey plans to issue a new and updated state health order. To read more of the recommendations, just go to rocketcitynow.com.